Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 26th of March, 2024. Coming up the Tuesday Rant, the Crusty podcast. Ooh, a possible rain tax for the fine people of Toronto. What will they think of next? And apparently $8.4 million for research into democratic decline. Oh my God, what will those crazy liberals think of next? Oh, bunch of idiots. Anyhow, listener and viewer discretion may be advised because I might swear and I might smoke a cigarette, make some funny faces and weird gestures and rude gestures to the powers that be. All that more come up the podcast. Please, ladies and gentlemen, stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
Yeah, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and if you like it here to see, please click like and subscribe. Share this content all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy. Once again, hi, everybody. How is everybody doing since Saturday? Hope you're all doing well, and the weather's getting better. The sun's been out. Snow is melting, so everybody's getting into that spring cleaning kind of mode and all this stuff, too. Unfortunately, it looks like our money isn't going to really help us, but we'll have to find something to keep us busy nonetheless, anyway. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you, too, that this is also brought to you in part by and supported by the Veterans for Freedom Network. Stand to, that's right, Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon, ladies and gentlemen, Veterans for Freedom TV used to be the likes of myself on their podcast or on their channel, on their network, however it may be. It's still in the working phase, but nonetheless, stay tuned for updates on that too. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And like the title card said, $8.4 million into research for democratic decline. Some people's kids, eh? Who knows exactly? I'll just read along a little article here coming from the National Post. I saw this briefly. I think it was on Rebel. I'm not sure, but I was looking around for certain articles on it, and it was just too good to be true. I had to, I had to look at it and read it for myself. But I'll read this for you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll put it in my description there towards the end of the show. And one more time, if you'd like to hear what you see, please click like and subscribe and share this podcast on all your social media platforms. Thank you once again to those individuals that have subscribed. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I want to thank my American audience too. I'm seeing a few more Americans download the podcast. Thank you, my American friends. All the best to you. And a special heartfelt condolences to the people out there in Baltimore. I guess we've all seen that bridge disaster that happened there too. A cargo ship literally rammed into one of the bridge railings and knocked the bridge right over. Holy shit, can you say? Who knows who's at fault, whatever, but I was watching that this morning and I was just like, wow, how do you just really steer into a bridge like that? Anyway, I guess there's more investigation pending, but once again, if anyone's listening in the Maryland area, my condolences to those who have been hurt and those who have been lost. Sincerely from the Crusty Canuck podcast. But I'll just cue up this story here from National Post. It's really interesting, and I'll read along for you, ladies and gentlemen. I just find it really, really interesting how the government has all this money to give away for all these researching and consulting and everything. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do with all this extra money that we don't have? Oh, let's spend it on stupid shit, shall we? So like the story says, Trudeau pledges $8.4 million to study democratic decline. And this is from Tristan Hopper from the National Post. I'll just read along here, ladies and gentlemen. Just total buffoonery. Anyway, as part of the surprise outlay of cash announced at a summit in South Korea, the Prime Minister's office has approved $8.4 million to study how autocracy thrives in warming temperatures. Oh, of course. Yeah. Climate action. Oh, my God. Quote unquote, today I'm announcing that Canada is investing $8.4 million to research across the global south to better understand how climate change interacts with democratic decline, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in a video address to the third annual Summit on Democracy, a gathering orchestrated by the administration of the U.S. President Joe Biden, Rocky Road. These initiatives will also help protect the human rights of environmental defenders, Trudeau added. Holy shit. The cash was part of a $30 million package of grants to strengthen quote unquote, strengthen democracies, of which 22.3 million was earmarked to defend human rights and promote inclusion. So it's not an environmental thing. It's a woke thing. Okay. A backgrounder on the 8.4 million describes it as a project to reclaim civic space to confront the climate emergency. Canada is investing 8.4 million to support human rights defenders working on climate and environmental issues across the global south, it reads. The Democratic Decline, quote unquote, project is being managed by the International Development Research Center, a Crown corporation. Remember that? A Crown corporation. More taxpayer funds going south of the border, south of the country, that is, too, not just the United States, but everywhere else. Okay. Democrat Decline Project is being managed by the International Development Research Center, a Crown corporation that is one of Ottawa's primary conduits for overseas aid. So basically corporate welfare, ladies and gentlemen. The International Development Research Center would also be getting an additional 4.6 million to create an equitable, feminist, and inclusive digital sphere. Oh my God. Here we go. We have to be inclusive. That's right. Create an equitable and feminist and inclusive digital sphere, according to a backgrounder by the Prime Minister's office. Here we go again. There are people in this country lining up at food banks, people losing their jobs, their businesses, their homes. And yet here's this government still worrying about who is included outside of the nation. Fantastic. Some people's kids, eh? Anyway. The Prime Minister of Canada retains executive authority to approve unbudgeted cash grants outside to outside actors. And it's relatively common that the PMO will roll out multi-million-dollar announcements on the eve of attending overseas conferences and summits. That's little paragraph right there is self-explanatory on how much responsibility the government really takes for the money we have in this country. Okay. So other components of the $30 million package include $1.44 million to strengthen the resilience of the Francophone LGBTQI plus rights movements in North Africa. God, that's so important, I tell you. On the cusp of World War III, and we got these priorities, people. Come on, let's get together and help them North Africans get their rights and stuff. Fuck. Just before Trudeau attended the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations in 2022, for instance, his government announced $333 million for various Asian projects, funds, and nonprofits. I wonder how much of that is for the CCP, China. Our lovely friends in the Communist Party of China. Oh, let me tell you. That's right. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. This included a $32.8 million fund for any civil society organizations who could prove their commitment to promoting gender equality and inclusion. Well, collusion, too. Inclusion, exclusion. You don't walk our line, then we'll just shun you because we're very, very inclusive. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. In 2023, while visiting a summit of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, Trudeau announced an outlay of $44.8 million in climate crisis money to various Caribbean agencies. This includes $8 million to improve the ecosystem health via local environmental and women rights organizations. Okay, so Trudeau's 3 surprise visits to Ukraine since the Russian invasion have similarly all been paired with top-ups to Canada's Ukraine aid budget. Prime Minister's February visit to Kiev, for instance, was paired with $700 million in targeted civil aid, including $4 million grant for gender-inclusive demining. So the world's going to shit, and our prime minister and his party and his minions and followers are so worried about inclusion. God, some people's kids. The cash to be sent to a UK-based nonprofit called the Halo Trust would establish a gender and diversity working group to promote gender transformative mine action in Ukraine. One of the more controversial instances of the PMO earmarking federal cash for a pet cause was in 2018 on the occasion of the Global Citizen Festival organized in South Africa by comedian Trevor Noah. Yeah, I remember that. Trudeau did not make an appearance at the event, but he scored a viral social media post by announcing a surprise outlay of $50 million to Noah's charity. Education cannot wait. Sorry I can't be with you, he says, but how about Canada pledges $50 million to support education for women and girls around the world? Work for you? Let's do it, he wrote in a tweet to Noah. So they just don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't care. right? I am all for helping people. I'm all for helping the less fortunate. I am all for giving people a break. But when are we going to start focusing on Canada? When are we going to start focusing on the Canadian people? That's all colors, all creeds, all backgrounds, all gender identities, all inclusive, right? I guess we're not. I guess these clowns are too busy worrying about the whole newspeak and the whole new think and group think, right? Like they just keep proving to us that crack doesn't really smoke itself.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tuesday Rant with Crusty Canucks. Yes, that's beautiful. 26th of March, 2024. Possible rain tax and $8.4 million for research. And I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And starting the 15th of April this month, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Crusty Canuck podcast will be available 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. The show will debut 9 p.m. on YouTube, Rumble, and wherever else you get your podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So please stay tuned for that. At least 9 o'clock on the YouTube and on Rumble and everywhere else you find your podcast. That's 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Starting on the 15th of April, every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, you'll catch me, the Crusty Canuck podcast. Therefore, that means no more Tuesday rants or Saturday socials, whatever. It'll just be the Crusty Canuck podcast. You see yours truly speaking his mind as everyone should. Anyway, carrying on with this episode. So you've heard me rant and rage about the $8.4 million going to other research in the name of inclusion. Here's something we could talk about when it comes to inclusion. How about you include every Canadian in the discussion? Hey? Oh, there's a novel idea. Aha. What do you know? What do you know, Joe? Let's include every Canadian in these discussions. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or bi or tri, or if you like it on Sundays or partially on Wednesdays. It doesn't matter, right? See, when I hear this inclusion thing, it's like, okay, yes, I want to include people, but I want to include the right people. The right people, meaning the right qualifications. Because the majority of Canadians don't care what color you are, who you sleep with, what you do in your private time. Just the simple fact you show up and work and do the job that you're paid to do. It's that simple. Okay. So when I hear all this stuff about inclusion, it's like telling me, okay, you can't have a job because you don't think like us. We can't put you in this position because you're not like us. In a way, it's just exclusion. Or you don't think like us, so we're not going to have you here. We're going to fire you because you're not being inclusive by being exclusive. It's kind of odd, isn't it? Eh? Interesting how that works. Anyway, carrying on with this episode of the Tuesday Rant, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Rain tax and $8.4 million for research. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and good to have you here. Thank you very much, my new subscribers out there. A round of applause for you all. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the positive feedback I received on my last video. Thank you. You guys are fantastic. Oh, one more round of applause. That's right. Double press the button there. Anyway, here's a story from Warren Kinsella from the Toronto Sun there. Now, I'm not a big fan of Mr. Kinsella. Sometimes he makes some good stories. Sometimes he doesn't. But needless to say, he's quite the writer, per se. And I will just play this for you here and get this on the go here for you, ladies and gentlemen. But he's just the sheer madness of some of these governments sitting there worrying about, taxes and all this diversity and all this inclusion. And yet they're ripping people off here. Ben Benkus does a great impression of Olivia Chow. I suggest you check out his work too. A great comedian, just so funny. But this is from Warren Kinsella. That was actually published 3 days ago. Kinsella, Toronto's overlords pondering implementation of a rain tax. City of Toronto plans to consult the water users in April about taxing based on the amount of hard surfaces on property. Holy shit, nothing's sacred anymore, right? You can't just, have a house and, get garbage picked up and have running taps. No, we got to tax you on more water too. So a rain tax, seriously, they want to tax the rain. Now, before we get started in the latest insanity to seep out Toronto's municipal government, let's give credit where credit is due, shall we? For sheer gall, for its bottomless brazen brassiness, you can't beat this one, a tax on rain. You almost have to admire the Bolsheviks who presently run Canada's largest city for their inventiveness and their total indifference to the taxpayer. Almost. And let's make one thing clear. We are not making this up, Virginia. Toronto Stands Commissars have issued a call for people to participate in what they call benignly stormwater charge and water service charge consultation. There's the magic word, consultants. Let's hire some more consultants. Yes, that's where they have to consult. Oh my God. Here's a few gems from their call for consultation. Get your smelling salts ready. The City of Toronto was consulting with water users and interested parties on the possible implementation of stormwater charge. They write, neglecting to mention that water users are all sentient beings living within the confines of the Kulag T-Dot, or Toronto, right? They want to have a stormwater charge for all property classes, meaning everyone will ultimately pay for the invasive wet stuff. Why? Well, just because. Also, those pesky raindrops don't just soak into the grass and plant life, which last time we checked is arguably a good thing. They sometimes dribble off into the sewers, which were built to accommodate water that occasionally falls from the sky. But never mind. Oh, God, I love the sarcasm. Here in the sixth, the Union of Soviet Toronto Republics, all that is now considered a bad thing, writes the Politburo. Stormwater and rain and melted snow. When not absorbed into the ground, stormwater runs off hard surfaces onto streets, down storm drains, and through the network of pipes that carry it into local waterways. Too much stormwater can overwhelm the city's sewer system, which can lead to flooded basements and impacts to surface water quality in Toronto's rivers, streams, and Lake Ontario's waterfront. Isn't that the idea? Fucking flow mechanics. Holy shit. Oh, wow. And here, all this time, we thought rain was desirable. Apparently not. Apparently, rain harms, checks his notes. Lake Ontario. Gotcha. I get it. Yeah. So the city wants to tax you for it. To calculate how much rain tax you will pay, the municipal parrot chicks will see how much hard surface area you have. They define that frivolous and unnecessary things like roofs, asphalt driveways, parking areas, and concrete landscaping. Oh, my God. That's right. The rain tax will appear as separate line on your utility bill, but they won't call it that. It'll be called something to diminish the number of fainting spells and heart attacks it will inevitably cause. It will probably be located adjacent to the next proposal, the air tax. How will the city calculate how much hard surface you got? Good question. Knowing this, crew, we'd wager they consider sending out 1 million new Democrat consultants with neon orange measuring tapes, but they're not doing that. Instead, they'll say they will use the aerial photography to guesstimate how big your roof is. Sounds quite scientific, eh? Not. Marge, get my 12 gauge. The city's sending spy drones over my backyard again. Now, before you have a stroke, the city's overlords wish it known that other municipalities are just as insane. Kitchener, Mississauga, Orillia all have a rain tax too. And where goes Orillia, so goes the nation. Because make no mistake, Toronto's stand rulers really want to do this. They've tried it before. Back in 2017, city bureaucrats pleaded with council to go along with a rain tax. And John Tory, who, full disclosure, this writer worked for, and not just because he opposed taxing rain, but because he was an adult and a sane person, shut them down. That rain tax, for God's sakes. Figuring out who would pay a rain tax, right, and how and when would be like unscrambling an egg. Tory said at the time, which was a bit of an odd metaphor, but which also makes us miss him all the more. Well, I don't miss him. I never really knew the guy. I just know he was a bit of a philanderer. Undaunted, the Krats are trying it again. Doubtlessly egged on by the Team Trotsky now running things. A rain tax, seriously. Now, before you head down to City Hall with pitchforks and torches, the rain taxers would like it known that they are merely consulting with you to provide feedback. They're even going to have some public meetings on the rain tax. When? Well, in April, of course, because perhaps April showers bring May flowers. And soon enough, a bigger bite out of your wallet. Splish splash. That was a pretty decent article. I'll put that in my description for you, ladies and gentlemen. Self-explanatory. They have to pay people to fly over. They're going to pay people to fly over to consult, to see how big your roof is, how big your yard is, how big your patio is, how big your driveway is, and tax you accordingly. So desperate times lead to desperate measures, right? So much for the voter base in Toronto for voting that clown in. So much for the voters in Mississauga, Orillia, and Kitchener. Okay? A rain tax, really? So you got to pay for gasoline, got to pay for groceries, got to pay for rain. Okay? Now you're going to have to flush because you're using water to flush. So you're going to pay for the flushing and the water goes with it, or is it going to be two separate taxes? I don't know. You tell me. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's just some people's kids, eh? Fucking goddamn stupid is as stupid does.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
I'd like to remind you all, too, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe and share this podcast all over your social media platforms, too. And one more time, I'll advertise here. Starting the 15th of April, that's right, a few weeks from now, ladies and gentlemen, the Crusty Canuck podcast will be available 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll make the episodes. I'll put them up on the Tube and on Rumble and anywhere else you can find podcasts, ladies and gentlemen. Just type in the Crusty Canuck podcast in your address bar, and you'll find me and my mug. Probably on Spotify, everywhere else, too. And look at the heading at the bottom there. You'll find me on Player FM, Podchaser, Apple, Podbean. You also find me on Rumble, YouTube, and other places there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And thank you once again to everybody who has come back and stuck around this far, enjoying the podcast, too. It's been interesting past few days. We got more taxes going out. This April 1st, we're going to have more individuals that are going to get paid again. Big pay raise again. Sitting MPs are going to be jumping from $193,000 to $202,000 a year. All right. And ministers will be getting a jump of about $10,000, and the prime minister gets up about $16,000. How convenient, ladies and gentlemen. And yet every city is going to want to get more taxes for rain, for farting, for breathing, for picking your nose, waiting for a train, minding your own damn business. So we're getting gouged and gouged and gouged left and right here. It doesn't matter. My wife and I had a little talk last night about taxes, and I'm going to stop worrying about it. I had some issues with a tax man there last year for my ranting and raging about that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Right? I've got some legal defense in the works for me. I've got some people watching my 6, trying to keep things copacetic. I do actually pay extra taxes on my pay. Right? I made a point of that last spring to my employers, take an extra 100 or 2 off my paycheck. So the CRA feels better about sitting in their cubicles, telling people like you and me what to do with our hard-earned money. Self-explanatory. Now, we're seeing a real decline here in democracy, and maybe that $8.4 million could help this country. Let's stop worrying about how many colors we have in the spectrum. Let's stop worrying about how many types of people. Let's start worrying about what kind of people we need to get the job done. And if you constantly still have to tell yourself to look at a person's skin or their gender, you're doing it wrong. Start looking at people's qualifications. And you promote people's welfare because you, as an employer or administrator or a bureaucrat, believe that people have what it takes to get the fucking job done. Right? It's that simple. Who cares if this person's from here? Who cares if that person's from there? Who cares if this person represents this or not? Can they do the job? Do you have to sidestep and tiptoe over certain pronouns? Do you have to sidestep and tiptoe because they don't ever want to be offended? Who in their right fucking mind actually thinks that way? People are going to get offended no matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you say this or say that. Someone might be offended. Someone's going to read an article. Someone's going to watch a TV show, hear a news story. They're offended. Who cares? You're adults. You're supposed to handle it. And when it comes to you being an adult handling things, you're supposed to vote in people that can do the job, not reach into your pocket and take more of your money. Say it's the name of the greater good. Bullshit. It's not the greater good. It's the greater scam. We know it. We've seen the greater scam since and prior to the pandemic. Okay? Up in costs here, up in costs there, inflationary. Oh, it's worldwide. No, it's not necessarily worldwide. It's also national-wide, too, because elected officials take the money, give it here, give it there. No return. Oh, we'll borrow some more, print some more, borrow some more, print some more. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And it costs you and I. My American listeners, same thing. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Costs you guys a lot, too. And how is that right? And, of course, all the commies come out of the woodwork saying, oh, my God, capitalism, it's so evil. Ah! Go sit in your basement, have a hot pocket, and rub one out and call me tomorrow and see how you feel about capitalism. Wow. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, before I get too angry and emotional, I'm going to end the podcast right here. Now, I got some things to do there around the house here. I got some extra dishes, and I'm going to prep tonight's dinner for my wife and I. Yes. And we've got some chicken, we've got some potatoes, so nothing like a nice roasted chicken dinner. Isn't that delicious, eh? I think so. Anyway. But like I say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 26th of March, 2024. I wish nothing but good things for you all out there. Like I said, springtime, do your spring cleaning, whatever. Do what you can to save your pennies, to put things away, to help each other out. And I know the struggle is not going to get any better, but we shall persevere, ladies and gentlemen. To my American listeners, thank you once again. To everybody who's downloaded my show on the Podbean, thank you. You guys are awesome. Especially my Canadian listeners there too. You guys are fucking fantastic. Pardon my swearing, but hey, I'm just speaking my mind. And, just keep your head up, ladies and gentlemen. I will try to get an episode up probably this weekend if I can. If not, my apologies. My work schedule is really hectic. I pulled in about 102 hours my last shift, so I'm a little tired, but I'll do what I can to get this up here. But I will make an effort to make sure you get Crusty podcasts 3 times a week. That's right. Like I said, 15th of April, Crusty podcast will be available 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday at 9 o'clock. So look for me on the Tube and on the Rumble for the Crusty Canuck podcast, those 3 nights too, starting on the 15th of April. And if you feel like donating, please donate. I encourage it. I'm at a point, like I said, we got an issue with our furnace. We're getting it paid off, but every little bit helps too. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to help us with this, you can. Links are in the description. Just click on a link, donate what you can. That's fine too. I'm not going to sit and demand coin and try to tune into some kind of ungrateful gamer or OnlyFans person. What you see is what you get. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this has been a Crusty podcast, Tuesday rant for the 26th of March, 2024. I wish nothing but good things for you all out there too. Keep your chin up, do what you can, to help each other in these trying times. Watch your backs and just do your best to be good to people. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.